From BLC Studios in Mankato, Minnesota, this is the Maverick Hockey Live Podcast, presented by Dunkin, with your host, Shane Frederick.
Welcome to the Maverick Hockey Live Podcast, presented by Dunkin. My name is Shane Frederick. I'm the host, and tonight, as we're recording, this is quite a treat, as we have David Backus, Ryan Carter, and Darren Blue coming in to talk a little bit about the Maverick alumni game that'll be taking place on Hockey Day, Minnesota, the night before, on January 21st. And a lot of excitement for Hockey Day, but this is pretty exciting to have you all here and to talk about that. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks. Great to see you, Freddie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this will be fun. I know it's always tough to pin David down. Great to have him here, but Darren Blue to get on his schedule these days, it's awfully tough. We had to get this after hours now. I think it's 9 o'clock local time, so it's tough getting on Bluey's schedule, but it's always great when we can.
It's true. I think. Go ahead, David.
Bluey was the king of long road trip to who knows where in the middle of the country, and just I don't know if he scrolled the contact list or what, but you got your name drawn every now and then, and he had nothing but time.
Well, you probably got the calls early because B came before C. You probably screened his phone call. I was next.
I just wonder, by the time you got to me, which happened once in a while, I wonder how many people didn't answer the phone before Freddie answered the phone for him.
You tried a lot of miles.
Blue would call you and he'd still give you the I'm going through the mountains treatment, and it'd be cutting out. Then the call would drop, no call back. On to the next guy.
Had enough of that guy. Move on.
Hey, well, a little bit of background for anyone who's. Oh, go ahead, Darren. You want to chime in there?
I just want to say I appreciate you three getting me through a lot of those long drives. The comedy.
Happy to help.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Always good times. I never knew where you were but if I was keeping you awake or if I was just giving you a little laugh or what, but
telling stories.
Well, this is great. Just a little bit of background real quick. David Backus and Ryan Carter, both longtime NHL players who's, back in the day, in the college days, played for Minnesota State and had great careers. They were teammates for 2 years, 03 and 04 and 04 and 05. Excuse me, I take that back. 04, 05, 05, 06. David Backus came in 03, 04. 2 great years together. Their last year playing, which was David's junior season and Ryan's sophomore season. David tied for the team lead in points with 42, 13 goals, 29 assists, tied for the team lead with Travis Morin. Third place on the team in scoring was Ryan Carter, was the goal leader that year with 19 goals, 35 points. A fun year, and as I look back on your stats, guys, and before we get to kind of the outdoor game stuff, I have to, your last series in Mankato together was that Wisconsin series. It was the year Wisconsin won the national title, and you guys swept the Badgers that weekend in a phenomenal series, one of the most entertaining weekends of hockey. If my career covering the Mavericks, lots and lots of fun. David had 2 goals and an assist that weekend. Ryan had 2 goals, 3 assists that weekend. Let me ask you guys, if you remember, with a lot of hockey in between, over the last 16 years, what you remember about that. Let's start with you, David.
I guess I don't know that I can pinpoint those 2 games. I do remember beating Wisconsin overtime goal because I was able to score it. But I guess what I remember maybe is I don't remember anything. I think
it's a long time, man.
Yeah. I guess my Badger memories are, and I don't know if that was that weekend or not when an overtime win, but the Kohl Center when we were there and the lights went out And
yes,
I think it might have been my first year where there was a big hit in the corner, and right then the whole power grid went out, and we finished that game the next night. I think we were down a couple anyway. So, and then scoring that overtime game winner. So I guess, I don't know if that was that weekend or not, but maybe Ryan remembers a little more intimately.
Yeah, Ryan, what do you remember?
Are you nerding out right now, David? Were you an electrical engineer? Was that why you remember? The whole power grid went down. Like, never mind hockey. Oh, I wonder how that power grid went down. I wonder if I can rework that.
I was searching for transformers around town. Yeah, looking to reboot it for us. Yeah, thanks.
I'm trying to figure out how to get another mile an hour out of my flapper, and you're here figuring out power grids and transformers.
Yeah, because you used to shoot pucks while sitting on a chair, somehow, like trying to get your forearms to look like a baseball player. I don't know what that was all about, but you scored 19 goals. It obviously worked that year.
Popeye. I couldn't crack the can of spinach and get the forearms to go like that, so I had to work at it. No, but I do remember that weekend, Shane, and I was an undrafted free agent, and I think Anaheim was there. The assistant general manager was there that weekend. Had a big weekend, points wise, and after the game, he's like, "Hey, I'd like to chat with you for a little bit," and I was like, okay, cool. And I didn't know protocols, really nervous, didn't have an agent, nothing like that. Pro hockey really wasn't on my radar. So I took him to Herbert's and Gerbert's right downtown, and there's like students everywhere, and it's kind of chaos. And he's like, of all the places we go, you're going to take me to Herbert's and Gerbert's for like a $6 sandwich? Right? I was like, what do you think? Because, you can't accept money from them or whatever, right? Yeah. Like, I'm still on a college budget here, but like, if I'm going to buy you, I'm not going to buy you a steak tonight. I'm going to get you a $6 stuff from Herbert's and Gerbert's and ask you to eat that bread on top, right? But no, I do recall that it was a fun series. That's part of the reason I miss, or I should say, I'm slightly saddened that the old WCHA still isn't around. Playing the Big Ten schools, those games were fun to get up for. You go over to Wisconsin and you cross the border and you're like, okay, we're in different territory now. Let's get together. Let's play together. We're playing the Badgers. So those games were big and easy to get up for. And I really enjoyed playing them for sure.
Darren, can you jog either of their memory at all about that weekend?
I don't know if I remember, maybe not that weekend, but I thought there was always something that helped, David play a little extra hard, maybe get a little extra on those weekends against the Badgers. And I think there was something that happened along the way that, and I think it kind of worked out in the end. I think he had a couple Olympic teams that he played for, but he showed up. It might have had a little extra, finished every check, and maybe a little extra peek over at their bench once in a while. So it was fun. It was fun to see you get that goal against those guys.
Yeah,
should we let the listeners in on the story, or are we going to?
Yeah, go ahead if you want. It's your call, David. Would you like to share?
Well, the World Junior Tournament selection team, the head coach was Mike Eves, who was also the Badgers head coach, and it was 2003 was our year to go, and I was not taken on the team. He took Jake Dowell, which was his Badger kind of guy, over me, and I was a little bitter over it, and they ended up winning the gold medal, so I had some humble pie to eat, but certainly never forgot that. And every time we played the Badgers, there was extra juice in the tank to lay it all out there and to kind of prove them wrong. So that's the story Darren was alluding to, and Pat, actually, his son, I've gotten to know him, and incredible family, obviously. Just the sometimes being scorned is a great motivator in sports and in life. And that was, those weekends I was able to really ramp it up and say, nothing's going to stop me. I got to make a difference and kind of say, might have been an easier gold medal if you would have picked me instead of Jake, but I've let it go. So it's behind me.
I think if I remember correctly, I think when you were selected All-American that year, if I remember correctly, Eric Means your assistant coach, along with Darren, that you're told me the whole reason that you were an All-American that year was because of every game you played against Wisconsin.
Yeah. Well, the best part about me being an All-American is I got in a fight in practice a week before the All-American or the team photos. So I had a black eye, a broken nose in that photo. And I think somebody didn't want, like they thought it was gruesome or something and didn't want to use that picture for whatever they were going to display it as. And I was like, no, that's like my badge of honor, even though it was my own teammate. And I learned a quick lesson there, but all great memories.
Do you remember which teammate that was?
Of course I do. My nose was on the side of my face. Jason Bushy like said it in the locker in the training room, and I was like, pop. And I was like, did you hear that? And he's like, he tried to play it off cool, but it was terrible. Lucas Franzen got
there you go.
Rearranged my nose. Yeah, that was. Ryan wants to add to the story because he likes to say that Jutz was crying or trying to tell everybody to stop.
My favorite part is you had the broken nose, but Jutz was the one crying. It was my absolute. It was the best part of
it. Well, this is we could go game by game for those 2 seasons and probably keep the I don't know if people would keep listening to the podcast or not, but I got to get to Hockey Day a little bit and the excitement around Mankato coming up. And obviously, this is something that I remember writing about a few times and getting Hockey Day, Minnesota to come to Mankato, to come to Southern Minnesota. And just in general, before we get to talking a little bit about the alumni game, we'll start with you, Ryan. You work for the Wild. You've been kind of part and have talked to people within the organizing committee. What can you say about, Mankato getting this right now and kind of the excitement to bring that to the southern part of the state, which is not exactly the part of the state that people think about when they think about hockey in Minnesota very often?
Well, I actually do think that some of that played into it, right? Like Southern Minnesota doesn't probably get the love or the accolades for being as, I don't know, important in the state of hockey, right? Like you're thinking up north, the Iron Range kind of is where people think kind of it's rooted. But I do believe that the people of Mankato and the local organizing committee, they kind of use that as motivation, much like David did not making that World Junior team to play well against Wisconsin. The event, I think, is gonna absolutely destroy any other event that has been held on Hockey Day. And now some might say that's because they had a couple of years now. This was obviously supposed to be last winter, and there's been some more time, but in some regards, I think that's made it a little bit more challenging too, to hold off the excitement and continue working in that regard. So, but to be in Southern Minnesota for the first time, this is going to be the first time a college Division I men's game is played on Saturday on Hockey Day. So there's a lot of things that are special and unique and are going to be first now. It's also fun to see the community rally around it, right? Like I would have never guessed that they're going to allow Blakely Stadium, the field, to have a hockey rink on it, right? And I know that I'd pay money just to see that come to fruition alone, let alone, all the great stuff. And it's going to bring, I think that not just the hockey community and awareness to the hockey community, but that's the great part about Hockey Days. It's the entire state. And it's going to put Mankato hockey on the map. And the Division I program has done that. And I think that's fantastic that they're going to play on the ice sheet outdoors for Hockey Day. I think that makes it that much more special, and also goes to show how much hockey means to not only the university but Mankato. So it's going to be a fantastic day. And I mean, David and I we've had a chance to play hockey beyond college, but I look at the program that they've built in Mankato, and boy, I feel like if I could rewind or if I've had FOMO about anything, it's playing on these teams right now for Mankato. Like they all seem to be having so much fun. They root for each other. How do you say it? Amit? Is that how you say the D-man's name that just had a hat trick?
Wyatt Amit, yeah.
Story. Yeah, I just heard the story that he tries to come off the ice and the rest of the D say, no, you got 2 goals. You stay out there, buddy. You're not changing until you get the third. Makes a great play, gets the third, right? And he goes to celebrate and you watch the video and his D partner jumps higher than he does, right? Like they're happy for him. And it's an unbelievable culture. And I honestly played a lot of hockey and I have FOMO missing out playing in that building with teams like this. I'm excited to see it on Saturday, January 22nd for sure.
Well, I think it's certainly something that you guys helped build. If you think about when you guys played and the years that you played, I mean, it was very still early in the Division I era. David, you know, if you want to bounce a little bit off of what Ryan was saying, I think you guys kind of built something, you know, and there were some ups and downs there, you know, in the years that you guys played, and then the years beyond that, and you know, and then until the last 10 years or so, where it's really risen to a Division I power, and to the point where I think that has helped make the Minnesota Wild, Valley Sports take notice of Mankato, of Southern Minnesota, and bring an event like this down here. I know it's different than it was 16, 17 years ago, David, but what are your thoughts about this?
First of all, that was well put together, Ryan. I think you've really honed your craft in the answer department. I would like a couple lessons if you've got free time, but I think there's a time in that programs, you know, there were certainly the years when it was just turned D1, there was some excitement and everyone was just happy to have a program. And then I feel like we were the chapter where it was kind of a, you know, not exactly how Vegas felt, where it was kind of misfits or kind of leftovers from some of, you know, like less highly recruited guys, maybe a little bit older, but wanted to prove something and still had a lot on the table, that they were trying to not only make a name for themselves and for their career and play college hockey, but guys that said, you know, every team I'm playing against on this week, you know, this weekend, whether it's World Junior, like the Wisconsin story we've talked about, but all the other teams that was like, I mean, I hate to admit it, but you grow up in the cities, you watch the Gophers and you're a Gopher fan, sorry. But, you know, when they don't even want to talk to you and Mankato's offering you a scholarship and you're like, you know what, you guys go pound sand. I'm going to Mankato and I can't wait to, you know, to make you regret not wanting, you know, me on your team. And I think there was kind of that chapter. And then, you know, whether or not it was a switch from the WCHA and the Big Ten, because the competition was ridiculous in the WCHA. You look at those teams and like if you were playing Michigan Tech or Anchorage, you felt like you were the favorite. Other than that, on the other, you know, 8 or 9 teams, it was like severe underdogs. You're playing North Dakota, you know, it was Duluth, Wisconsin, CC. I mean, all those teams were powerhouses, and we were, you know, a budding type of a program. And so I think and maybe it was the blessing in disguise of that kind of shifting a little bit, where now there's a couple tournament bursts, recruiting starts to be a little bit easier to say, hey, we've made it to the national tournament recently, want to do it again. The facilities and the investment that the university has had in of the team, and now you can say, hey, we've got top-notch facilities, we've got great support in town. We're the big dogs with the Division I sport on campus, and now all of a sudden you're a perennial contender, and things. And I don't know how it goes from a recruiting side, but I'm sure there's guys now reaching out to Mankato and saying, "This is the school I want." And with things like summer school that's paid for, and programs that I'm sure Bluey had a huge parts in, of they'll get guys to graduate in 3 years if their goal is to, you know, make it to the NHL and leave after 3 years. And I would have absolutely loved that. You know, not that it wasn't a possibility, but it wasn't mainstream or a thought. So I think as MSU's program has been on that trajectory, everyone's kind of followed along with that, with Mankato East, Mankato West, the youth programs. You know, I've got some friends in town that are trying to develop and get a couple more sheets of ice in town. So because the demand's there. And so all of that starts to, you know, just crescendo and build. And now Hockey Day is only going to throw gasoline on that fire in Mankato proper, but also in the surrounding towns. So to me, I think I've seen it, I've been a part of it, and now to kind of be part of that gas can to be poured on it, an alumni game. Hopefully, you know, there's not too much rust on the old wheels to get them out on that sheet, and hopefully the the temperature's not too cold on my thin blood these days, but looking forward to it. And hopefully Ryan will be kind to me, unlike the way he was when we played against each other throughout our careers.
David, would you have rather graduated in 3 years or had Bluey hounding you for years as he did with both of you to finally get your degrees?
That's part of the encouragement to get it done, is that he's not calling every summer like, is this the year? Is this the year? No, I'm, part of me signing actually was, my mom was kind of devastated because she didn't have a 4-year degree, and she's like, you told me you were going to graduate. So I said, I will graduate. And so the lockout, 2012, 2013 was my opportunity to go back and finish. And so I am grateful that was still there, and I was able to get my degree, and it's from MSU. So only good feelings. That I tell my wife I was on the 10-year program, and she was on the 5-year program. So it took me twice as long, but we ended up in the same place.
Nothing wrong with that. Darren, good job getting these guys going, making sure they got their degree.
Two good guys, but you know what? The one thing I just was going to add to, and again, you talk about Ryan's answer, then David's answer, and you don't want to be third after those two. But the one thing I'd say is those two guys, and you talk about the program and changing, and the old, I wish I had a nickel for how many times I said, David Backus, Ryan Carter, you can come here, you can be those guys at MSU. And not only did those guys help develop our program as players here, but they helped continually develop our program as the people they were, the players they were after they left. And, there's been a lot of players that have come here that have wanted to be the next David Backus, have wanted to be the next Ryan Carter, and so on. So that's what's exciting. And it hasn't stopped, and one of the exciting things was, I think there's of our NHL players, I think there were 8 guys that have played in the NHL. I think there were 8 that aren't currently involved in hockey, and all 8 of them, wanted to come back and play in the alumni game and be part of this and be part of the celebration of hockey here in Mankato and help continue to grow hockey in Mankato, not just for MSU, but for the city in general. And the other part I'd add is, when you talk about doing things in Mankato hockey and things changing and the ability to play on hockey day this year. And I think that's one thing that, I don't know how many people know, but the ability for I should say the Division I men's hockey team to play on TV on hockey day, being the first time. And I think there was a lot of skepticism. I think there's still a lot of people that say, how did Hasty ever agree to do that? And the one thing I'd say when that came up, Hasty just said, is this the best thing for, hockey in Minnesota? Is it the best thing for hockey in Mankato? And if it is, we'll do it. And, just like Ryan and David have always answered the call and been there for Maverick hockey, hopefully, Coach Hastings and kind of his answer and what it is, hopefully we can, Maverick hockey can answer the call for others to help keep growing as well. So appreciate what those two have done to grow it and continue to help out to continue growing Mankato Maverick hockey and hockey in general in Southern Minnesota.
Hey, Ryan, you played in a couple Stadium Series games, right? So once with the Devils, once with the Wild, played at Yankee Stadium, played at TCF Bank Stadium. David, did you get a chance to play an outdoor game in the NHL?
I was suspended for a Winter Classic once.
Oh, that's right. Well, we'll go to Ryan then.
Yeah, please. I got all the swag from it, but didn't get to play.
Well, you stayed warmer then, probably. What were those experiences like for you, Ryan? And what advice would you have for MSU or for the alumni who are playing on Friday night?
Well, for me, it was a blast. I had a chance to play the one at Yankee Stadium first, and that was fun. That was kind of, I was maybe in awe a little bit, like it's exciting. I didn't understand. I'm playing a game at Yankee Stadium, Devils versus the Rangers. was actually cold that day too. I think low teens, maybe double digits, maybe dipped into single digits with wind chill and stuff. So it was chilly. Afternoon game, and the issues there were glare. You got a little bit cold, so you had to wear some gear underneath your equipment that maybe you didn't ordinarily wear. And hockey players are finicky. We're creatures of habit, and something feels different. It easily throws us off. So having to wear some different stuff was different, but having to adjust to different lighting was hard too. Now I'm looking at this from the player's perspective, and the way the sun was set at different angles, the game was actually paused and delayed start. Lundqvist in his net couldn't see the puck or the entire ice sheet, so we sat in the locker room for, they didn't know how long. We thought it was going to be 15 minutes. I think it ended up being almost 90 minutes, 2 hours in our gear, getting ready, waiting to play because the sun wasn't at the right angle. So you do have to battle some elements and some things that you're really not accustomed to. I think as you go around the Glass 2 NHL rinks, you're so used to picking pucks up visually off of the fans, and everything's kind of closed, and you're just used to that. Now you get some deeper, wider sight lines, and you'll get a puck above the boards, and it might take you a fraction of a second to catch where that puck is all of a sudden. And you're like, whoa, that was a little different, right? And so there's some things that will take some adjustment while playing. But for me, the excitement and the ability to bring everybody together on your team, it's an experience too that you all share. I think the Stadium Series, and this I think rung true too for the Winter Classic. It's a family event, and you have everybody in town. And those 2 points are really important in the standings. They truly are. And it sounds cliche to say that at times, but it's also about the experience and including people of the community and your families and getting everybody together and enjoying like a special moment, a special day. Right. And I was lucky enough to have that scenario play out in New York, so that when I came to Minnesota, less of that stuff was new, and I was able to understand how to funnel and channel the distractions, when to turn it on, when to be ready to play. Had a much better game in Minnesota than I did in the first one, right? And I think that goes to show the experience, but at the same time, for the players, it's enjoy it. And like I said, I'm jealous. I've got some FOMO of this group, right? Like they've got a chance to go out and be the first Division I team to play Hockey Day Minnesota outside. That's pretty cool. And now you fast forward 10 years, they're going to be telling stories at Blue Bricks or something about that day, right? And we're going to be saying, I was freezing my butt off in this corner when you did this, and it's going to be memorable. And it's special. It was a lot of fun. One of the highlight photos of my playing days actually where it was that Twin City Stadium Series game at TCF Bank. I had my family there. I had 2 chubby little daughters with me, one on each arm. We snapped a picture with some sweat and some eye black, and it really meant a lot to me to play in Minnesota outside with my kids, share it with everybody. It was special. But one storyline I'm looking forward to, though, is you've got a couple of Florida kids on this team and some others that maybe aren't used to this outside ice stuff. So we'll see how quickly they can adjust.
Yeah. What is your memory of playing outside, whether it's as a kid, as a high school player? David, did you have some of that experience as a kid? I mean, that's the mythology of Minnesota, right? Of playing outside and getting cold and staying out and playing under the lights in the park. Did you have some of that experience as a kid?
Yeah, before they could suspend me and not let me play outdoors, that was what we did. I brought my skates and my stick to school every day and left them by the desk. And my buddy lived just walking distance from school, and there was an outdoor rink, right? And it was like my parents came and picked me up at 9 o'clock at night, and we spent hours there. I mean, without shin pad, I think of like how dumb we were, of how little protective gear, and like the fact that I didn't take a puck in the face or lose my teeth during that time is miraculous. But every day it was out there, and go through once your toes are numb, go back in the warming house till they hurt and they thaw out, and then go right back outside. And I think there's certainly some skill that you learn on terrible ice outdoors, that the puck's not true and pure and just sliding the way it's supposed to be. And, it was never really 5-on-5 in the games I was playing. It was like nobody wanted to sit out. So it was a ton of people out there, a ton of traffic, and you had to make your plays in tight areas. So I think that really, along with just you were out there wanting to do it and having fun doing it, and that really starts that, you know, burning passion inside of you. And again, I never really thought I was going to make a career out of playing hockey, but I guess you love something and pour everything you got into it, and it fell into place for me, and I'm grateful for that.
How about you, Ryan? Do you have that experience as a kid?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm super thankful I always tell everybody I'm a product of my environment more than I'm a product of anything else, right? So nobody in my family had ever played hockey before. Everybody's super naive. My dad first bought me a right-handed stick. I played left-handed, right? Like, we had no clue. But there was a rink in the backyard. And I saw the kids playing. I said, Ma, Dad, I want to go out there. And after I bugged them enough, they bought me a pair of skates. I went out and played. And that's all we did. We just played. And I'd play with the big boys and they'd beat me up. And then I'd push back and see how much room I'd get, right? And you just learn a lot out there just playing and having fun. And honestly, I loved playing sports. I loved competing, but there was something about the rink, something about the ice, the cold air. Again, like all my kids now on the outdoor ice, they wear a helmet. We didn't wear helmets. I wore this cool tassel hat with strings down the side, and you play till they got wet and freeze. And, you know, it's just kind of what we did, but it was fun. And those are the memories that I'll probably have forever. Wish I still had that hat. I'd still wear it on the outdoor ice, right? But no, I honestly give all the credit in the world for me having any type of career playing college hockey, professional hockey, to my neighbors and the people that put that rink in the backyard. Because without it, none of these stories come to fruition.
Darren, you must have played outdoors back when there probably only was outdoor ice back then, right?
I was wondering where you're going with that, Freddie. There were a couple rinks built by that time, but no, you know what, you're exactly. And what's cool now is that, David talking about 10 on 10. Not only was it 10 on 10, it was 10 on 10 and about a third the sheet, because nobody wanted to shovel the whole rink, right? So it was there wasn't a lot of room out there. And what's great now is you talk about kind of those two stories. You talk about Ryan and starting hockey. You know, my son started; he was going to be a basketball star, and Nate Brecky has a rink in his backyard right next door to me, and Carter started skating in the winter, and now all of a sudden you can't get him off the rink. And I come home today after work, and there's 5 of them out in the rink outside skating, and they get the red cheeks, and they're probably freezing, but nobody wants to be the first one to leave, right? Nobody's the weak one that wants to leave.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to tough it out and stay out as long as you can. So those are the stories that I think Minnesota hockey is all about. That so many of these kids, when you talk about, and Karts talks about Florida, and there's kids coming from all different places, and they get up here and they see the outdoor rink sometimes, or they see what goes on in them, and they can't believe how awesome that is, and they'd never had that experience. So it will be interesting to see if they can handle it, Karts. I don't know. If you can handle it, I think they can handle it. So it'll be fun to see.
Let me ask you guys, Darren, you're coaching. You're not playing as an alum, unfortunately.
Safety.
But, you're one of the coaches along with Don Brose. Is that correct?
That is correct. Other bench.
And which one of these guys?
Don Brose.
What's that? Against Don Brose.
Against Don Brose.
Yeah, and which one of these guys is on your team?
I have Mr. Backus.
David Backus. So can you talk a little bit about anybody else who might be playing, and a little bit about what we should expect that Friday night about 8:30 p.m.?
Well, we sent out the roster, and I think David went right down to, we don't have a lot of skills, so we're going to dump it in. We're going to be physical. We talked about some forechecks. Playbook's been out for a few weeks now, so hopefully it'll be I know it'll be a lot of fun. And it's great. We've got people all the way back. John McNamara, and McNamara and Stengel, I think they played maybe early 70s. They're coming out. So, the committee's done an unbelievable job in kind of piecing together some guys to come out and play in this. And we talked about the former NHL guys that have played that are going to be here. And, but the other, how would I say it? The other 30 some players, just some real great people that have been great to the program and great players. And just, like I said, a wide range of a lot of different people. Will be a lot of fun that night.
Ryan, any game plan? Have you been sent any tape yet to watch or anything like that? Or do you got a game plan to go against these guys?
All I can tell you, Shane, is that for a living, I had to put the puck in the corner, go get it, and then give it to somebody else that was a better player than me. I am not going to be dumping the puck in the corner. I'm going to be crossing the blue line, going to the middle of the ice, not caring if it goes the other direction one bit. But no, I'm just excited. Again, what's so great about these events is that it brings people together, and I'm going to get to see some. And I haven't seen, so my roommate, Steve Wagner, played with St. Louis down with David. I haven't seen him since college, different paths, pro hockey. I get to see him again, right? And that's what I love so much about these events. And I talked about the Stadium Series games. They really bring people together. And that's what I'm excited about. I haven't skated with Dave since probably the last game we've played on an NHL sheet, which I can't recall when it was. But no, I mean, and that's what's cool about it. So super excited for that. But as much as my skill set leads to dumping the puck, I'm going to be carrying that darn thing.
And David, what are you looking most forward to?
I'm taking an opposite approach. I'm going to stick with what I know, and that's dumping the puck, go to the front of the net. And I've kind of sent that message to my team that looking at it, they've definitely got the prettier, more skillful roster. And I mean, their captain was Ryan and our captain was Tim Jackman. So between Tim and I, we're going to play to our identity, and it won't be pretty, but it'll be effective. So, no, I'm excited to be back in Mankato in, late January, and let's, have it be cold out there, see some of the old faces. And, I tried to gear up my training a little bit, but my body just said no. So, if anyone's expecting anything more than, I don't know. I just hope I don't toe pick and knock my teeth out. And I have been buying warm weather gear though, so I don't get frozen out. And if I've got bib overalls that are insulated over my gear, then hopefully nobody shames me too bad.
Well, David, you're in Southern California. Ryan's here in Minnesota, where it's been brutally cold for the last 2 weeks. I think he's in a little bit better game shape in terms of preparation for the cold than you might be.
He certainly is. I did do a 45-minute rollerblade on the boardwalk with my wife today. So we're trying to recruit a few of those skating muscles to amp them up so that they're not either they're effective in the game or not, but so I can move on Saturday and at least walk around and watch the game without being, on ibuprofen laying in bed and not being able to make it back there for the real game.
Well, David, I see that you're growing the beard out so that your face doesn't get cold. Are you going to be wearing a beanie under your helmet? Because I think your chin probably has more hair than your head right now.
Oh, ouch. I've been using a few products.
Oh, wow, that looks good.
They've said they grow back. So if I keep it all in the right spot, it might be able to pass for less than 40 for a few more days.
That looks really good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And Ryan, would you like to take your hat off?
He's got the best hair.
I know, it's unbelievable.
Salty color that's all in there. And
we're all jealous of that hair, right?
Yeah. I don't know about that, but
no, it's the girls, our teenagers, that'll all start falling out.
or turn white. It's already started that.
Now I have nothing here, but it's all getting white here. So on the chin. Hey guys, I tell you what, it's funny when I was finishing up at the Free Press and covering MSU hockey, a lot of people would say to me, because of the success of the program the last 10 years, it must be so much fun to cover MSU hockey right now. And I would always say, it's always been fun to cover MSU hockey going back to when I started in 2000. And it's because of great people who've been around it. Darren Blue, and of course you two guys, are right up there at the top of the list as well. Just a great experience covering your teams, covering your games. You guys are class acts as college players. Young naive college players who probably, I hope, I don't know, I'm sure you probably had some tougher questions from the press than me in your pro careers, but I thank you for that time that we got to spend together back then, and it was truly a lot of fun covering you guys, and I really thank you for being part of this this podcast today as well.
Well,
thanks for. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, thanks for having us. And we learned to appreciate the softballs. Maybe at the time I thought they were hard hitters, but in hindsight, no. And I know I've probably beat this to death by now, but I honestly, Bluey, super happy that you moved on to another opportunity, and that's great. Shane, same with you. But to some degree, when I heard that news, it's like a piece of me and my connection to the school, like severed, and it maybe at times I felt like it distanced me a little bit from the program. But that's why it's great again to be coming back down, and we'll get to see Shane and Bluey and meet some new people and hopefully create some new relationships that probably last as long. I doubt they'll be as strong with, or I shouldn't say that, but no, I'm probably sound sappy here, but I appreciate you guys. I really do. It was a fun time of my life.
Yeah, I think you don't get promoted, and I think there's always, no offense, the unbiased media, I think I don't know if that's ever the case. So I know that there's always two ways to write every story, and I feel like we're given a lot of the benefit of the doubt. I know I was throughout my career of, slanting it in a favorable way. So thanks for, I guess, covering that and making us either sound better or appear better than probably we ever were. And then I would echo what Ryan said, that, Bluey's been probably the glue for Maverick hockey for 25 years. And I know even in his current role, which is not officially Maverick hockey, he's still, connecting all sorts of channels for the program with the program. And he tries to name this committee, but it's really Darren pulling strings and making things happen, and diving back into the archives. And he's the one that's connected to probably the longest, from playing days until coaching days, and still today in the private sector of promoting the program. And I probably wouldn't all the things that happen, Darren's got his fingerprints on, so well done.
I appreciate that, guys. I know we'll get off the camera and you guys can tell me the truth. What I was going to say is I'm just glad Shane never picked up on the forecheck that David shared on the radio. David, Shane never talked about that back in the day. I got a lot of calls about the forecheck we ran against Minnesota maybe or something one time. But no, Shane, you always done a great job. You two guys, David and Ryan, class acts. And all I can say, I'm so excited for everybody to be back. I mean, we do I don't say this lightly. We have an unbelievable alumni group, and I don't know how many different ways I could say. Like when we talk about support back, I mean, we went to both of you guys and asked at one point in time, "Can you support what we have here?" And not even blinking an eye, yeah, we can. And I appreciate you guys for that. That you've always been there for this program in so many different ways. So, and again, this will be another great one. A lot of great alumni coming back. Excited for all those names to be released. We'll start talking a little bit more strategy when all those names start coming out. But it's going to be a great time, and look forward to seeing you guys back here in Mankato.
So the Maverick alumni game played on outdoors at Blakesley Stadium will take place 8:30 p.m. after the East-West boys hockey game on Hockey Day Minnesota week, and that'll be Friday, January 21st. I'm looking forward to it. I know these guys are looking forward to it. Thanks, David. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Bluey. This has been the Maverick Hockey Live Podcast presented by Dunkin. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Freddie.